Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that digital artists make. Number 1 is actually pretty often overlooked or not thought about, and that's actually what file type your artwork is. Regardless of what digital program you use, if at all possible, always save as a PNG file. It's high quality, it really shows off your artwork, and it makes a big difference. Other file formats like JPEG or BMP, not as good as PNG in terms of artwork. Other file formats really compress your artwork and can make it blurry or pixelated, or just there's stray pixels and it can just look pretty bad. It's just generally lower quality. Number 2, unless you really want to, using small canvases. You can't get a lot of detail into a really small canvas size. And when I'm talking about canvas size, I mean both pixel size, so like length by width, and the DPI. When you make a small canvas, it's basically like you're trying to shove in a ton of stuff into a little box. You're just not gonna fit that much in there. But if you have a lot of little boxes, you can do a lot more stuff. Especially if you want to print your artwork, things like pixel size and DPI are very important. Otherwise, when you print out the picture, it's gonna look blurry and it's just not gonna look the same as what it looks like on the screen. And you can always make it smaller later. You can always resize it when you're done and share it with the world, but give yourself the space and the room and the freedom from the get-go. Number 3, not taking risks. This is digital art. We have an advantage that traditional artists don't have, which is the undo button, or layers, or a whole bunch of features and things that we can do that traditional artists can't. So go crazy with your artwork. Don't be afraid of going super dark or trying something different, drawing something new, using crazy filters. If you're at all concerned of messing up your artwork, you can always save a separate document and play around with a new one, and then if you don't like it, you go back to the original file. Even with Microsoft Paint, that's something you can do. So definitely take advantage of the fact that digital artists have these advantages. Do things that you're afraid to do and have fun doing it. Number 4, speaking of layers and digital art advantages, having too many layers can also be a problem. It's a heavier load on your computer, especially if you're using a larger canvas. It's easy to get lost or disorganized, or if you've probably seen that ongoing joke about that dot on the screen and trying to find which layer that dot is on, only to find out that it's a smudge on your screen. But you would have had a much easier time finding that out if you had less layers. I know I started out pretty much having a new layer for every stroke, but try and see if you can minimize that down, because you will be much happier for it. You'll be much more organized, your files will be much simpler to go through, the sizes will be smaller so you'll have more room on your computer will be happier because it won't have as heavy of a load to deal with. I'm not talking about one layer, okay? You don't have to go that extreme unless you really want to, but if you're making like hundreds of layers with each artwork, you might want to consider why you need that many layers and if you actually do need that many layers. Because if you're not really benefiting from it, but if you're gonna use a lot of layers, then do it smart. Name your layers, and I mean seriously name them. Don't just be like ugly part or something. Actually call it line art or base color or background, or something that will be useful for when you come back to it later. If your program allows for folders and grouping layers together, take advantage of that. If you want all the skin shading, for example, to be together, then group them all together in a folder and name that folder skin shading. Little things like that can help keep you sane while you're working on your artwork. And number 5, stray pixels, and by that I mean from using things like the fill tool. Basically there's those little uncolored pixels of your artwork where you just didn't reach when using things like the fill tool, or like Photoshop's magic wand tool, even paint tool size selection tool. A lot of digital programs have some sort of selection or fill tool, and they don't always reach every little nook and cranny of your artwork. So for example, you have some line work and maybe you have like a certain sharp curve or corner, and use the fill tool and it just doesn't quite reach that part there, and then you have this little uncolored space in your artwork. So a little tip for you Photoshop users is to expand the selection by a few pixels depending on the size of your canvas, and that helps get in the rest of those little spots that otherwise the magic wand tool would have missed. I know it's kind of a small thing that's kind of logical, common sense, like duh, but I've seen this everywhere and I've done it myself, and it's just something that you can easily not think about or miss. So while you're coloring, or maybe when you finish the artwork, just take a couple minutes to scan it, just real quick, just to see if there's any sort of stray pixels that you might have missed coloring in. It's small, but it makes a big difference and makes your artworks look that much better and that much more professional. So are you guys guilty of any of these mistakes? Feel free to comment down below, as well as let me know what other mistakes you see digital artists making. If you haven't already seen my 5 beginner artist mistakes video, I'll go ahead and link that in the description down below. So I hope this helped. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I upload new art related videos every Thursday and Saturday, all with the hope of inspiring you guys to improve. So thanks so much for watching. Bye!